Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. So I've been comparing the Poco F3 right now with a couple of devices already. I did the one with the Poco X3 Pro. I also compare it with the Samsung S20 FE 5G. And now I'm going to take it a little bit higher, one notch up. And this time it's going to be against the big boy, the Samsung S21 Ultra 5G. Before I do that, let's just bring Eric Cartman into the frame right there. We always want him there to make sure everything is fair. Yeah, so this video is going to be a very chill video, so just sit back, relax, and let's just check out the Poco F3 here versus the Samsung S21 Ultra. Alright, so pretty crazy stuff. I just want to start off with the price here in Malaysia. The Poco F3 5G, this guy right here, is going for 1,700 ringgit. That's the official price. Whereas the Samsung S21 Ultra right here is going for about 5,000 ringgit. So that is about 3 times the price of the Poco F3 5G. So is it really worth that 3 times difference? And by the end of this video, let me know if you would prefer to buy one of these or 3 of these and just give it out to your buddies or something like that. Alright, so let's start off the comparison right away. Let's start off with the design and build quality. So I think I've showed this design more than a couple of times now to all of you guys, and you probably already know how it is with the Poco F3. It comes with a very reflective back right here, quite comfortable to hold in the hand, and of course a very good build quality as well. Nothing to complain about that. It is not very thick. In fact, I feel that it is quite perfect in my hands right there. So on to the S21 Ultra. Naturally, this is a 5,000 ringgit device right here, and the build quality on this guy right here is next level. So we do get this very nice back panel here, smooth to the touch, some proper solid stuff right there. Of course, the camera does look very cool as well, comparing it side by side with the Poco F3. I'm not going to say that the Poco F3 is not a good looking device, but I mean, if you just take a look at the S21 Ultra and feel it in person, you'll definitely feel the extra premiumness in the S21 Ultra. And of course, you're paying big money for that kind of feeling right there. In terms of the weight, the S21 Ultra here is quite a heavy device. It is about close to 230 grams, whereas the Poco F3 is about 200 grams. So in terms of long-term use, playing games long times, the Poco F3 might be a little bit more comfortable. But if we just talk about build quality and all that, I must say that the Samsung S21 Ultra here is definitely slightly higher one notch, and I'm just going to be very honest about that. Alright, moving on to the next point, let's talk about, why do I have Lewis Hamilton there? Alright, let's talk about the displays right there. So I'm just going to bring back my camera a little bit so we have a little bit more distance. So just looking at the displays right here. Obviously on this Poco F3 right here, we do get a very nice Super AMOLED display. It is 1080p, supports HDR10+. It also has up to 1300 nits of brightness, but those are all numbers. In terms of real world use, I am really happy with the display that we have here. It is very nice, very visible indoors and outdoors, and of course viewing angles are excellent on this Super AMOLED display. However, you do need to note about that dimming issue, which I think has been brought up a couple of times now. Whenever this device is under a little bit of heat or maybe overheating a little bit, you may experience a dim in the display. For example, if you're playing very graphic intensive games, or if you like me, someday I just went out taking photographs outside in the sun, the device tends to heat a little bit and so the display dims off. So that is actually one tiny issue with the Poco F3 right here, but it's not something that you face on the daily. Otherwise, other than that, the display here is really excellent for the money that you're paying here, and I have no complaints about that. Alright, now on to the big boy, the S21 Ultra. Naturally, we also have an excellent display over here. This is 1440p. It also comes with a 120Hz display right here, similar to the Poco F3. So very similar in terms of fluidity, but you do get that extra crisp, that extra clarity in terms of the display. When you're watching YouTube videos, you'll definitely enjoy a better, like, you know, up to a 2K resolution on this device itself. So very nice display here. Obviously, this is a slightly larger display as well. This is 6.7 inches versus 6.67. So slightly larger, but again, for the price that you're paying, you have a very excellent display on the Poco F3 right here. But obviously, in terms of just sheer resolution and quality of display, this S21 Ultra definitely gets the cake about that. Alright, so display is done. Next thing we're going to talk about is performance. So First up, the Poco F3 right here I have is running on the Snapdragon 870. We already know how the performance is like on this device right here. It is a very powerful processor that we're getting in 2021, only second to the Snapdragon 888, whereas on the Samsung S21 Ultra right here, this is the Malaysian version, so it's running on the Exynos processor. So just in terms of benchmark scores, I've actually run the benchmark, they're actually on the app right here, but just in terms of benchmark, Poco F3 actually edges the S21 Ultra by a little bit. So it's not a huge margin, but it actually excels, it beats the S21 Ultra here running the Exynos processor by a little bit in terms of the benchmark scores. So if you just go into the 3D Mark test right here, this is the wildlife stress test, and notice that on the Poco F3 right here, which actually is the same as the Redmi K40, I was able to get a very decent score of 4000 plus, and the stability is 99%. Whereas on the Samsung S21 Ultra right here, we're only getting about 3300. So obviously in terms of just the benchmark scores, we're seeing a slight lead in the Poco F3 right here over the Samsung S21 Ultra. Alright, in terms of the memory and RAM and all that, we both have 8 GB of RAM version right here, and this guy right here, the Poco F3, actually comes with 256 GB of internal storage, whereas the S21 comes with 128 GB. So you're getting double the storage here at this kind of pricing that I just mentioned, and both of these are UFS 3.1. So I think that's pretty much what I can just talk in terms of benchmark scores. In terms of real world use, I must say that both are very consistent in terms of the fluidity, how smooth they are, how fast they launch apps. Obviously, if you're playing a very graphic intensive games, you will tend to see a little bit of overheating in both devices right here, but just in terms of day-to-day use, I find that both devices here are very excellent. Like I said, everything launches up very quickly. Same goes for the S21 Ultra as well. I didn't really see like an additional increase in performance on the Poco F3 right here, but again, just in terms of scores, benchmark scores, if you're the kind of person who likes that, the Poco F3 here takes that slight edge. Alright, now that we're done with performance, let's talk a little bit about the cameras at the back, and that is actually a huge difference here. Alright, so if you notice on the Poco F3, we actually have only 3 sensors, whereas on the S21 Ultra, we have 4 sensors. Alright, let's just start off with the main one. So we have a 48 megapixel main, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 5 megapixel macro lens. Whereas on the S21 Ultra right here, we have a higher resolution 108 megapixel main sensor. It also has a 10 megapixel telephoto and a 10 megapixel zoom kind of lens, and it also has another 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor right there on the S21 Ultra. So obviously in terms of camera performance wise, we already tested out the F3. We know that it's not the best in terms of the camera performance, but it is able to hold up its rights in the camera department. So we do get some pretty decent pictures with the Poco F3, but of course the Samsung S21 Ultra here definitely takes the photography game to the next level. I'll be showing you guys a couple of photos that I took using both devices right here, so you can have a brief quick look at how they look like. Obviously, if you're the kind of person who only shares your photos onto social media, this is roughly how you would be able to see your pictures look like, because most of the time when you go for such a high resolution photo, unless you are really going to print out these photos, if you're just going to be sharing it on social media just like the 80% of the community does, then this is roughly what you can expect from the cameras of both devices right here. But no doubt I must give the win to the S21 Ultra obviously for that. Alright, now let's move on to the next point, the batteries in these guys right here. So naturally, the S21 Ultra is a big boy right here, like I said, so it has a bigger battery. We have a 5000 mAh battery in the S21 Ultra, but we do have a smaller battery, a 4520 mAh battery in the Poco F3. So it's a little bit smaller, but you do get faster charging. So 33 watt charging is on this guy. This only has 25 watts. And the best part is the Poco F3 actually comes with the fast charger in the box, whereas on the S21 Ultra, you do not get any charger at all. So you still need to pay a little bit more to get that charger in. So just in terms of battery, I won't comment much on this, but obviously this gives you a little bit more battery on the S21 Ultra. But yeah, I definitely must give a few points to the Poco F3 for including the charger in the box. Alright, last but not least, I just want to talk about a few final stuff here. In terms of just using it, experience and all that, we do have stereo speakers for both devices right here, and the S21 Ultra is it sounds a little bit better than the Poco F3. Apart from that, both devices do not have headphone jacks, and that is pretty much what you get with both devices right here. Okay, so bottom line, after using both devices for definitely almost close to a month now, I must say this: the Poco F3 here is 1/3 the price of the Samsung S21 Ultra. I'm not saying which is better or which has a better value. I think you can answer that question on your own. But obviously, if your budget is quite limited and you want to enjoy the flagship specs from your device, you want to have a decent camera, you want to have an awesome battery and all that. Obviously, the Poco F3 is none other than the best champion in terms of what I just said earlier on. But if you want to spend 3 times extra money and get like the best build quality, the best cameras in the business, a processor that isn't as good as this one, perhaps debatable, then maybe you will be going for the S21 Ultra. Nevertheless, both are great devices, but I must definitely say this phone is definitely one of the best devices that has been released this year. Obviously, it is the S21 Ultra, in my opinion, is not 3 times worth the price of the Poco F3. And yeah, I just got to say that out there. This is my honest opinion. If you disagree with that, you have your right to disagree. But yes, I am definitely siding with the Poco F3 in this situation right here. And I must give the win, if there is a competition at all, to the Poco F3 because it's just the flagship value champ. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this comparison video. Like I said, this is just a fun one, a chilled one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to give that like, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!